horrifyingly. Can you imagine this? A notorious, ruthless Korean mafia boss who buried his heart for 20 long years after the tragedy of losing his wife and child. A man who once ordered executions without blinking suddenly drops to his knees on the floor of his own luxury restaurant, trembling as he embraces an unfamiliar 8-year-old black boy from the depths of poverty. Sobbing because he's been falsely accused of theft? In that single instant, a heart of stone shatters violently. An overwhelming love erupts like hellfire. And the man who once made all of Los Angeles tremble becomes willing to sacrifice everything: his life, his empire, his reputation to protect this boy and the single mother he has never even met. Can this sudden love redeem a soul that has been dead for decades? Or will it drag an innocent family into a whirlwind of blood and revenge with no escape? Join us now as we dive into this crimson romance story filled with tears and passion, right here. Before we dive into this chilling and mysterious story, please remember to subscribe to the channel Crimson Romance Stories and like this video. Every subscription, like, and share from you is a huge spiritual gift and an incredibly profound source of motivation for the channel's growth, so we can continue bringing wonderful videos every day to everyone. There would be no greater joy than receiving your love and support through the comments you leave right below this video, comments sharing your emotions, or telling us which province or city you're living and working in while listening to this story. Alright? Let's continue together and immerse ourselves in this amazing, captivating story that's filled with deep emotions. I sit at my usual corner table in Park's BBQ, the premier Korean barbecue restaurant I own in the heart of Los Angeles, Koreatown. The air is thick with the sizzle of premium galbi on tabletop grills, the sharp tang of kimchi, and the low hum of hushed conversations in Korean and English alike. This is my domain, a place where the city's most powerful men, business tycoons, politicians, and those who operate in the shadows like me come to conduct deals over banchan platters and bottles of soju. Waiters move silently, eyes averted, knowing the unspoken rules. Listen to nothing, see nothing, speak only when spoken to. Respect is paid in quiet nods and envelopes slipped under plates. At 55 years old, I, Ji-hoon Kim, have built an empire that spans underground gambling halls in Koreatown, high-stakes loan operations across Southern California, and legitimate fronts like this restaurant that wash money cleaner than any laundromat. My fair skin, a trait from my mother's side, contrasts with the dark suits I favor, tailored Armani that costs more than most people's monthly rent. My presence alone commands the room. Men twice my size defer to me with bowed heads. My word is law, and law, in my world, means survival. I have crushed rivals without a flicker of remorse, foreclosed on desperate borrowers while they begged on their knees, and eliminated threats before they could form. Emotion is a luxury I cannot afford. Sentiment gets you killed. Tonight, like every Tuesday for the past 15 years, I hold court with my lieutenants in the private back room. The conversation is measured, precise. Revenue from the casinos, territory disputes with encroaching gangs from South LA, problems solved with calculated efficiency, no raised voices, no wasted words. I sip my soju slowly, my dark eyes scanning every face, missing nothing. In my pocket, I finger the jade norige my late mother gave me decades ago, a delicate ornamental knot, green as new bamboo leaves, meant to bring protection and fortune. It's the only keepsake I allow myself, a silent reminder of the family I lost long ago. That loss haunts me more fiercely these days, a relentless, gnawing guilt that twists in my chest like a knife. 20 years ago, my wife and young son were taken from me in a senseless car accident. But the real wound festers deeper. My boy, only 8 years old, had been falsely accused of stealing from a classmate's backpack at his elementary school in Orange County. The bullying that followed was merciless, kids calling him a thief, teachers looking the other way, the principal dismissing our pleas. The stress crushed us all. My wife and I argued endlessly about moving schools, about fighting harder. In the end, a rain-slicked freeway took them both one night as they drove home from a parent-teacher meeting. I blame myself every waking hour. If I had been stronger, richer then, more connected, I could have protected them. Instead, I hardened my heart into stone, vowing never to let vulnerability destroy me again. But alone in my sprawling Beverly Hills mansion, the silence screams. Nights are sleepless battles, with violent inner turmoil rage at the world. Guilt that claws like a beast. A profound loneliness that no amount of power can fill. I appear dominant, untouchable, but inside, I am fractured, torn by a fierce conflict between the man I was and the monster I became to survive. Yet something shifts in the air tonight, a premonition I cannot name. The restaurant buzzes with its usual energy, families laughing over bulgogi, couples sharing pork belly wrapped in lettuce, but my thoughts drift to the stark contrasts of this city. Los Angeles is a place of extremes, my world of endless wealth, private jets, and armored SUVs, against the desperate poverty just miles away in South Central, where families scrape by on minimum wage, facing hunger that hollows cheeks, exhaustion that steals sleep, cold winds whipping through thin apartment walls, humiliation from endless rejections, and a despair so deep it numbs the soul. I push the thought away, focusing on the numbers my lieutenant recites. But deep inside, the guilt surges again, violent and unrelenting. A storm I can never outrun. And then, without warning, the heavy glass doors at the front burst open with desperate force. Every head turns. Conversations halt mid-sentence. My bodyguards tense, hands inching toward concealed weapons. This is unprecedented. No one disrupts my space uninvited. But before anyone can move, I see him, an 8-year-old boy, African American, standing trembling in the doorway. His clothes are worn thin, sneakers muddied from the streets, face streaked with tears and grime. He looks emaciated, undernourished, eyes hollow from nights without enough food, body shivering from the chill that seeps into unheated homes. He scans the room with wide, fearful eyes, hopeless one moment, confused the next, then a spark of desperate curiosity as his gaze lands on me. Without hesitation, he runs straight toward my table, dodging outstretched arms. My men rise, ready to intercept. But I raise a hand, stop. Something in his terrified yet determined face pierces me like a bullet. He reaches me, small hands grabbing my sleeve with surprising strength, clutching the expensive fabric as if it is his only lifeline. His voice breaks, soft and timid, respectful even in panic. Please, sir. They say I stole money from my mama's job. They're gonna fire her. Call the police. We'll lose everything. Please help. In that instant, looking down at his upturned face, innocent brown eyes wide with dread, then shifting to cautious hope, something ruptures inside me. A violent inner conflict erupts. The stone walls around my heart crack with psychological shock. He reminds me so painfully of my lost son. Guilt floods me, fierce and burning, mingled with an overwhelming surge, an explosive, passionate affection I have not felt in decades. Not just pity, but a fierce, protective love that ignites immediately, anchoring itself deep in my soul. This impoverished child, crushed by unfairness, has awakened something I thought dead. The room holds its breath. All eyes are on me, waiting to see what Ji-hoon Kim, the most feared man in Los Angeles, will do next. I have not always been this man of stone. There was a time, 20 years ago, when I still believed the world could be gentle. I had a wife named Sujin, soft-spoken, quick to laugh, the only person who could make the edges of my ambition feel rounded and safe. We had a son, Minjun, 8 years old, with my fair skin and her bright, curious eyes. We lived in a modest house in Garden Grove. Back when my empire was only beginning to take shape, I was climbing fast, making enemies faster. But at home, I was simply a husband and father who came home smelling of grill smoke and dreams. Min Jun was accused of stealing $20 from a classmate's backpack at his elementary school. A simple, stupid lie from a jealous child. But the accusation stuck like tar. The principal refused to investigate properly. Teachers whispered. Other parents pulled their children away on the playground. Min Jun came home every day quieter, shoulders folded inward, asking why no one believed him. Sujin and I fought the school, begged for fairness, but doors closed in our faces. The bullying grew, vicious notes slipped into his desk calling him thief, boys shoving him in the hallways, girls laughing when he walked past. He stopped eating properly. His laughter disappeared. The guilt I carry is a living thing. I was too busy building power to protect my own son from ordinary cruelty. One rainy October evening in 2005, Sujin drove to a parent-teacher conference alone because I had a late meeting I could not cancel. On the way home, a truck hydroplaned across the freeway divider. The crash took them both instantly. Police said it was an accident, nothing more. But I know the truth that gnaws at me every night. The stress, the sleepless nights, the endless worry over our boy's broken spirit. It all fed into that final drive. If I had been stronger then, richer, more feared, I could have forced the school to listen. I could have shielded them. Instead, I lost everything that made life worth enduring. After the funerals, I buried the pain under layers of ice. I swore never to love again. Because love is a weakness others will exploit. I became ruthless because ruthlessness kept me alive. I built walls so thick that no pleading voice, no desperate tear, no bribe or threat could penetrate them. For 20 years those walls held. I ordered actions that ended lives without losing sleep. I watched families lose homes while their children cried. And I felt nothing. I slept alone in a mansion with 12 bedrooms, surrounded by art worth millions, eating meals prepared by private chefs that tasted like ash. The jade norage in my pocket became my only companion, a cold, silent knot that reminded me protection is an illusion. Loneliness is not quiet. It is violent. It wakes me at 3 a.m. with pounding heart and clenched fists, guilt roaring through my veins like fire. I pace marble floors in barefoot silence, arguing with ghosts. Why didn't you fight harder? Why didn't you see the danger sooner? The remorse is relentless, a blade twisting deeper with every year. I appear untouchable to the world, fair-skinned, impeccably dressed, a voice calm as winter steel, but inside I'm fractured. Torn by storms I cannot outrun. Power bought me everything except peace. Wealth bought me everything except the right to feel human again. Tonight, as I sit in the back room of Park's BBQ, with my lieutenants laying out territory maps and revenue reports, the old wound throbs worse than usual. Perhaps it is the autumn chill seeping through the windows, reminding me of that rainy October. Perhaps it is the way the soju burns less than the memories. I finger the jade norage absently. Its cool silk cord, a lifeline to a life I destroyed by not being enough. And then the boy bursts in thin, shivering, tears carving clean paths through the dirt on his cheeks. His clothes hang loose on a frame that speaks of too many nights with empty stomachs. Too many mornings waking to cold apartments and overdue rent notices. His eyes, wide with dread and exhaustion, scan the room until they lock on mine. I see the shift in him instantly. fear giving way to confusion, then to a cautious, desperate curiosity. He runs to me as though pulled by instinct, small hands clutching my sleeve. "Please, sir, they say I stole money from my mama's job. They're gonna fire her. Call the police. We'll lose everything. Please help. Thanks for watching." His voice is soft, timid, respectful, every word weighed by the knowledge that he is speaking to someone far older, far more powerful. But beneath the restraint, I hear the raw edge of terror, the kind born from living on the absolute edge, hunger that claws at the belly. Sleepless nights, listening for eviction knocks, cold winds slicing through thin walls, while younger siblings cry. The resemblance hits me like a physical blow. Same age as Minjun, same innocent face, twisted by unfair accusation, same desperate trust in a stranger's mercy. My heart, frozen for 2 decades, cracks with a sound I almost hear. Guilt surges, violent and searing, mingling with a sudden, overwhelming wave of protective fury. But deeper than fury, something far more dangerous ignites, an explosive, fiercely passionate love for this impoverished child I have known for mere seconds. It floods me without warning, burning away caution, anchoring itself in my soul with terrifying strength. I want to shield him from every cruelty the world has waiting. I want to erase the hunger in his eyes, the fear in his voice. I want God help me to be the father I failed to be before. My lieutenants stare, waiting for the ruthless response they expect. Instead, I feel my carefully constructed world tilting. The inner turmoil is unbearable. Remorse for my lost son colliding with this impossible. Immediate attachment to a stranger's child. Suspicion flickers briefly. Could this be a setup? But it drowns beneath the tide of emotion. The boy's small, trembling hands on my sleeve feel like redemption and judgment all at once. I look down at him, voice gentler than I knew it could be. "What is your name?" "Son? Jaden Washington." "Sir." "What she 7?" "Jaden." The name settles in my chest like a vow. In that moment, something fundamental shifts. For the first time in 20 years, I am not thinking with cold calculation. I am thinking with a heart that has just remembered how to beat. The heavy glass doors of Park's BBQ explode inward with a force that rattles the crystal chandeliers above the main dining room. A cold December wind sweeps in from Wilshire Boulevard, carrying the distant hum of late-night traffic and the sharp scent of impending rain. Every conversation in the restaurant dies instantly. Chopsticks freeze halfway to mouths. The low murmur of Korean and English alike vanishes, as if someone has pressed mute on the entire world. My bodyguards, Min Soo and 2 others, rise from their chairs in perfect synchronization, hands sliding inside their jackets. The lieutenants around my table tense, eyes narrowing. No one, absolutely no one, bursts into my establishment like this. Not without an appointment, not without consequence. But before any of them can move, I see him. An 8-year-old boy stands trembling just inside the threshold, silhouetted against the neon glow of the Koreatown signs outside. He is African American, painfully thin. The kind of thin that speaks of weeks, maybe months, where dinner was whatever could be stretched across 3 small mouths. His hoodie is 2 sizes too big, sleeves frayed, the drawstrings missing. His jeans are patched at the knees. Not fashionably, but out of desperate necessity. His sneakers are held together with duct tape that has long since lost its stickiness. His dark skin is ashen from exhaustion and cold. Cheeks hollow, lips cracked from the dry Santa Ana winds that have been blowing mercilessly through South Central for days. His eyes large, brown, rimmed red from crying, are wide, with a terror so raw it feels like a physical weight pressing on my chest. He scans the room in a single, frantic sweep. Dread paints his face first. The dread of a child who has walked miles through dangerous streets after dark, past liquor stores with barred windows, past groups of men who eyed him with indifference or worse. Then unease flickers across his features as he takes in the opulence, the polished dark wood tables, the marble accents, the plates of premium Henwu beef sizzling on grills, the bottles of imported soju that cost more than his mother likely earns in a week. Confusion follows. Why are all these well-dressed people staring at him as if he is a ghost? Fear surges next, making his small frame shake harder. His breath coming in visible puffs in the sudden draft, and then his gaze lands on me. Something shifts in those exhausted eyes. A spark cautious, almost disbelieving curiosity. Perhaps it is the way the other men at my table defer to me without realizing it, their bodies angled slightly toward my chair. Perhaps it is the tailored black suit that costs more than most cars, or the subtle glint of the Patek Philippe watch on my wrist. Or perhaps it is simply a child's desperate instinct, recognizing raw power when he sees it, the one person in this glittering room who might actually be able to do something. He does not hesitate. He runs straight through the main dining area, dodging a waiter carrying a tray of banchan, weaving between tables where families stare in stunned silence. His duct-taped sneakers slap against the imported Italian tile. My men move to intercept, but I lift one hand, barely a motion, and they freeze. I cannot explain why. My heart, which has not raced in years, is suddenly pounding against my ribs like a trapped animal. He reaches my private table in the back corner and skids to a stop. His small, trembling hands, chapped, nails bitten to the quick, reach up and grab the sleeve of my Armani jacket with both fists. He clutches the fabric as if it is the only solid thing left in his collapsing world. His knuckles are white against the black wool. I look down at him. Up close, the poverty is even more heartbreaking. I can count the ribs beneath his thin hoodie. His collarbones jut sharply. There are faint shadows under his eyes that no child should ever carry, shadows born from nights spent listening to a mother cry quietly in the kitchen, from waking to the sound of younger siblings asking why there is no more cereal, from the constant, grinding humiliation of knowing your family is always one missed shift away from the street. His breathing is ragged, coming in short, panicked bursts. Tears have carved clean trails through the grime on his cheeks. He tries to speak, but the words catch. Choked by sobs, he is fighting desperately to control. When he finally manages to force them out, his voice is soft, restrained. Timid, the voice of a child who has learned early that raising your voice to adults in power rarely ends well. Please, sir. The honorific comes out instinctively. Respectful, almost reverent. They say I stole money from my mama's job, from the cash register, $100. But I didn't. I swear I didn't. His grip tightens on my sleeve, knuckles whitening further. The manager won't listen. He says he's calling the police. If Mama loses this job, we won't have anywhere to go. The rent's already 2 months late. Please, you look like you can make people listen. Please help us. The restaurant remains frozen. Every eye is on us. My lieutenants exchange glances, waiting for the reaction they know. The cold dismissal. The quiet order for Minsu to remove the intruder. This is not how things are done. We do not get involved in street-level problems. We do not show weakness. But I cannot move. The resemblance is unbearable. Same age as Minjun. Same desperate trust in a stranger's mercy. Same accusation of theft crushing an innocent child. The guilt that has gnawed at me for 20 years surges upward like acid, violent and burning. Remorse crashes over me in waves. For the son I could not protect. For the wife I left to fight alone. For the life I allowed cruelty to steal. And beneath the remorse, something far more dangerous ignites an immediate, overwhelming, fiercely passionate love for this boy I have known for less than a minute. It is not pity. It is not charity. It is a burning, emotionally charged attachment that seizes my heart with terrifying force. I want to gather him against my chest and shield him from every cold wind that has ever cut through his thin clothes. I want to erase the hunger that has hollowed his cheeks. I want to stand between him and every irrational injustice the world is preparing to heap on his small shoulders. The intensity of it shocks me, psychological rupture after 2 decades of ice. My carefully constructed walls shatter with a violence that leaves me dizzy. Emotionally numb for a single heartbeat before pain floods in. He is still clutching my sleeve, looking up at me with those red-rimmed eyes. His emotional state shifts rapidly before me, the initial dread giving way to cautious hope, then to confusion, as he sees something in my expression he does not understand. Then back to fear that I might brush him off like everyone else has. His lower lip trembles. He sways slightly, as if the adrenaline that carried him here is finally ebbing, leaving only exhaustion and the threat of collapse. "Sir?" he whispers again, voice cracking. "Please." The word hits me harder than any confrontation I have ever faced. In that soft, timid plea I hear every night my own son came home asking why no one believed him. I hear every apology I never got to give. I kneel slowly. Carefully so we are eye level. My tailored suit pulls tight across my shoulders. But I do not care. The room around us might as well be empty. There is only this child and the storm inside my chest. "Tell me everything," I say, and my voice, usually steel, comes out gentler than I have heard it in years. "From the beginning, I am listening." As Amenada, his eyes widen in shock, then fill with fresh tears. For a moment he looks disoriented, as if no adult has ever truly listened before. Then the words tumble out in a rush, punctuated by hiccups and the occasional glance upward to make sure I am still there, still paying attention. His name is Jaden Washington. His mother, Aaliyah, works double shifts at a small family-owned fried chicken restaurant called Mama's Crispy Soul on Florence Avenue in South Central. She is the only parent they have. Their father walked out years ago, leaving nothing but debt and silence. There are 2 younger siblings, Camilla, 5 years old, and Malik, 3. They live in a 1-bedroom apartment where the heat rarely works and the walls are so thin they can hear neighbors arguing through the night. Tonight, $100 went missing from the register near the end of Aaliyah's shift. Jaden had been waiting in the corner booth doing homework while his mother finished closing. The younger children, already asleep at home with a neighbor, the manager, angry about recent slow business, immediately accused Jaden, refused to check the security cameras, refused to consider that someone else might have taken it, threatened to call the police for theft, to fire Aaliyah on the spot for bringing a criminal child to work. Aaliyah begged, tears streaming. But the manager was unmoved. Jaden had slipped out during the argument, run the 12 blocks through dark streets, past drug deals he pretended not to see, past homeless encampments, past sirens wailing in the distance until he reached Koreatown. He had heard stories whispered in his neighborhood, the quiet Korean man who owned the fancy barbecue place, the one people feared and respected in equal measure, the one who could make problems disappear. He chose me, a child living on the absolute edge of survival, emaciated, sleep-deprived, battered by cold nights and constant humiliation, walked alone into the most dangerous restaurant in Los Angeles and placed his trust in the most feared man in the city. The emotional peak crashes over me like a wave. Violent inner struggle tears at my chest. The ruthless boss who knows involvement is weakness versus the father who failed once and cannot fail again. Guilt and love collide in a storm that leaves me breathless. I place one hand gently, carefully over his small, cold ones, still clutching my sleeve. "I believe you, Jaden," I say quietly. His face crumples. Shock, then disbelief, then a cautious, overwhelming relief that makes his knees buckle. I catch him before he falls, steadying him as dizziness sweeps through his thin frame. He stares up at me, eyes searching mine for any sign of deception, finding none. For the first time in 20 years, someone is looking at me, not with fear, but with complete, fragile trust. And in that moment, I know I will burn the world down before I let anyone hurt this boy or his family again. His small hands are still clamped around my sleeve, knuckles bone white against the black wool. The restaurant around us has become a distant hum, like sound heard through deep water. All I can see is Jaden's face thin, dirt-streaked, eyes swollen from crying, and all I can feel is the violent earthquake inside my chest. I remain kneeling, bringing myself down to his level, something I have never done for any man, woman, or child in 20 years. My knees press against the cool tile floor of Park's BBQ, a floor that has seen million-dollar deals sealed and threats delivered in whispers. Now, it bears the weight of a mafia boss brought low by an 8-year-old boy who weighs less than the briefcase I carry to meetings. Jaden's breathing is shallow and rapid, the kind of breathing that comes after running for your life. His whole body trembles, not just from cold, but from the bone-deep exhaustion of a child who has carried too much for too long. I notice the way his hoodie sleeves are rolled multiple times to free his hands, the way his jeans sag at the waist because there is no belt and no extra weight to hold them up. I notice the faint bruise on his cheekbone, yellow-green, old enough to have faded but new enough to tell a story of a world that has already begun to hit back. "Sir," he whispers again, voice cracking like thin ice. The single word is laced with so much dread that it slices straight through me. Dread that I will dismiss him. Dread that this is just one more adult who will look away. Dread that tonight will be the night his family finally breaks apart. I place my hand large, steady, manicured over both of his. His skin is ice cold, fingers calloused in places no child's fingers should be. The contrast hits me like a physical blow, my hand warmed by the private heating system in my Maybach, his hand chilled by December winds that whip through cracked apartment windows and threadbare blankets. "Tell me slowly," I say, my voice low, gentle in a way that surprises even me. Every detail. I am listening. Jaden, truly listening. Every one. He blinks up at me, eyes wide with shock and confusion. No one has ever spoken to him like this before. No teacher, no principal, no manager, no social worker. The disbelief lasts only a heartbeat before fresh tears spill over. He tries to swallow them, embarrassed even now, but they fall anyway, dripping onto my expensive sleeve. I do not move. I let them fall. Through hiccups and broken sentences, the story pours out. His mother, Aaliyah Washington, is 32 years old and works double shifts 6 days a week at Mama's Crispy Soul, a small fried chicken restaurant on Florence Avenue. She has worked there for 4 years, ever since their father disappeared, leaving behind unpaid bills and 3 hungry children. Aaliyah wakes at 5 in the morning to catch 2 buses to her first job cleaning offices downtown, then transfers to the chicken restaurant for the evening shift that ends at 11. She comes home after midnight, bone-tired, only to wake again at dawn to get the children ready for school and daycare she can barely afford. The apartment they live in is a 1-bedroom walk-up in South Central. Rent is $900 a month, 2 months overdue now. The heat works only when the landlord feels like fixing it, which is rarely. The children sleep together on a mattress on the living room floor because the bedroom belongs to Aaliyah, so she can have some privacy to cry without them hearing. Food stamps help, but not enough. There are nights when dinner is plain rice with soy sauce, or bread with margarine, or nothing at all. Jaden tries to hide his hunger so his younger sister and brother can have more. He has learned to go to bed early on empty stomach nights, so the gnawing stops sooner. Tonight was supposed to be like any other. Jaden had finished his homework in the corner booth while Aaliyah closed up. Camilla and Malik were at home with Mrs. Rodriguez next door, who watches them for $20 a night when she can. Near closing time, the manager, Mr. Harlan, discovered $100 missing from the register. Instead of checking the security camera above the counter, instead of considering the new dishwasher who had been lingering near the register all evening, he looked straight at Jaden, You've been sitting here all night. A boy. Mr. Harlan had said. Voice loud enough for the last customers to hear. I know it was you. It's not racked. Aaliyah begged. She pleaded. She offered to work extra shifts unpaid, to cover the money from her tips over time. But Mr. Harlan was having a bad month slow business. Pressure from the owner and needed someone to blame. He threatened to call the police right then, to have Jaden arrested for theft. He threatened to fire Aaliyah for bringing a thief into the workplace. Customers watched. Some looked away uncomfortably. Others whispered. In the chaos, Jaden slipped out the side door. He ran, 12 blocks through dark streets, past corners where men lingered under streetlights, past liquor stores with bars on the windows, past homeless tents lining the sidewalks. His lungs burned, his legs shook, but he kept running because if Mama lost this job, the eviction notice already taped to their door would become real. They would be on the street. Kamia and Malik would be taken away. He could not let that happen. He had heard stories about the Korean man who owned the fancy barbecue place in Koreatown. People in the neighborhood spoke his name in lowered voices, Mr. Kim, the one who made problems disappear. The one even the gangs respected. Jaden did not know exactly what that meant. Only that it sounded like power. And tonight, power was the only thing that might save his family. So he ran until his legs gave out. Until he reached Wilshire Boulevard and saw the bright lights of Park's BBQ, he pushed through the doors without thinking, driven by a child's desperate instinct that led him straight to me. As he finishes the story, his voice trails off into silence. He is swaying now, the adrenaline crash hitting hard. His eyes flicker with rapid emotions, fear that I will not believe him, confusion at my continued attention, cautious wonder that a man like me is still kneeling on the floor, listening to a poor black kid from South Central. I feel every word like a blade twisting deeper into old wounds. The parallels are unbearable. My Minjun falsely accused, my Sujin begging a system that did not care. The guilt I have carried for 20 years surges upward, violent and suffocating. But beneath it, the love I felt ignite moments ago burns hotter, fiercer and overwhelming. Passionate attachment that terrifies me with its intensity. This boy is not my son. Yet in this moment he feels like the second chance I have begged the universe for in silent, sleepless nights. The inner conflict is excruciating. The ruthless part of me, the part that has survived by never showing weakness, screams that this is madness. Involve yourself in a street-level dispute? Risk exposure for strangers? But that voice is drowned beneath the tidal wave of protective fury and love. I want to shield Jaden from every cold night he has endured. I want to fill his hollow cheeks. I want to stand between him and every cruel, irrational injustice waiting to crush him. My lieutenants are staring. Minsu shifts uncomfortably, waiting for the order to remove the child. The entire restaurant watches. Breath held, I stand slowly, keeping one hand on Jaden's shoulder to steady him. He looks up at me, dizzy now, swaying on his feet. I can feel the exhaustion radiating from his small body. What is your mother's name? I ask quietly. Aaliyah Washington. Sir, It-T-4, Aaliyah. The name settles in my mind like a vow. I turn to Minsu. Get the car, the Maybach, now. As Minsu hesitates for the briefest moment, the first time in 15 years he has ever questioned me, but then nods and moves. I look down at Jaden again. His eyes are wide with shock, then cautious hope, then fear that this might all be a dream he is about to wake from. You are coming with me, I tell him. We are going to fix this. Tonight, I am. He stares at me, mouth slightly open. Disorientation sweeps across his face, followed by a wave of emotional numbness, as if his mind cannot process the sudden shift from despair to rescue. Tears spill again. But this time they are different relief, so profound it borders on pain. I guide him toward the exit. my hand never leaving his shoulder. As we pass tables of wealthy patrons eating $1,000 meals, I feel the weight of their stares, but I do not care. All that matters is the small, freezing hand that slips trustingly into mine. Outside, the December wind hits us hard. Jaden shivers violently. Without thinking, I shrug off my Armani suit jacket worth more than his mother earns in a month and drape it around his narrow shoulders. It swallows him whole, sleeves hanging past his fingertips. But it is warm. He looks up at me, eyes shining with something new, wonder. The Maybach pulls up to the curb, black and gleaming under the streetlights. Min-Soo opens the back door. Jaden hesitates, staring at the luxurious interior, heated leather seats, burled wood accents, soft lighting as if it belongs to another planet. I gently guide him in. It is all right, I say. You are safe now. With Gaud, he climbs in slowly, reverently, as though afraid to touch anything. I follow, closing the door against the cold. As the car pulls away from the curb, Jaden sits beside me, drowning in my jacket, staring out the tinted window with a mixture of fear, confusion, and fragile, budding hope. And I, Ji-Hoon Kim, the most feared man in Los Angeles, feel my frozen heart begin to beat again for the first time in 20 years, with fierce, burning purpose. The Maybach glides through the neon-lit streets of Los Angeles like a black shark cutting through dark water. Inside, the cabin is warm, quiet, luxurious beyond anything Jaden has ever known. The heated leather seats cradle his small body. The soft glow from hidden lights bathes everything in gold. The faint scent of new leather and my cologne subtle, expensive fills the air. To me, this is ordinary. To Jaden, it is another world. He sits beside me, swallowed by my Armani jacket, staring wide-eyed at everything. His thin fingers trace the burled wood trim on the door panel as if expecting it to vanish. Every few seconds he glances at me, quick, cautious looks, filled with confusion and lingering fear that this might all be a mistake. His breathing is still uneven, the crash after adrenaline leaving him shaky. He sways slightly with the motion of the car, dizziness creeping in now that the immediate danger of the streets is behind him. I watch him silently, and the storm inside me rages harder than ever. 20 years of iron control of burying every soft feeling under layers of calculation and ruthlessness crumbles in the space of minutes. The resemblance to Min-Jun is unbearable. The same age, the same hollow cheeks from not enough food, the same desperate courage in the face of a world that refuses to listen. But it is more than resemblance. It is a second chance handed to me by fate on a night I least expected it. Guilt surges upward like floodwaters breaking a dam. Violent, suffocating. I failed my son once. I stood by while ordinary cruelty ground him down. Too busy building power to notice the cost at home. The remorse I have carried alone in my mansion, pacing marble floors at 3 a.m. Arguing with ghosts now has a living face. Jaden's face. Every tear track on his grimy cheeks is an accusation. Every tremor in his small hands is a reminder that I could have protected my own boy if I had been the man I am now. But beneath the guilt, something far more dangerous burns. Love, immediate, overwhelming, fiercely passionate. It seizes my heart with a force that leaves me breathless. This child impoverished, powerless, existing on the absolute edge of survival is not mine. Yet in this moment he feels like the son the universe stole and has now returned in another form. I want to gather him close and promise him the world. I want to erase every cold night he has spent curled against siblings on a thin mattress. I want to fill the hollows in his cheeks with warmth and safety. The intensity terrifies me. After 2 decades of deliberate emptiness, feeling this much is agony. It is emotional rupture on a scale I have no defenses against. I shift slightly in my seat, and Jaden flinches. The movement is tiny, Instinctive, the flinch of a child who has learned that sudden motions from adults can mean pain. It hits me like a fist to the sternum. I am sorry, I say quietly. The words feel foreign in my mouth. I do not apologize. Ever. I did not mean to startle you. End quote. He looks up at me, eyes wide with confusion. Then, cautious curiosity. It's okay. Sir, he whispers, voice soft and restrained. I ain't used to... He trails off, unsure how to finish. Not used to kindness from strangers. Not used to safety. Not used to adults who listen. The car slows at a red light, outside. Rain begins to fall, thin December drizzle that streaks the tinted windows. I see our reflection superimposed over the city lights, a powerful man in a tailored shirt. Fair-skinned, composed on the surface. And beside him, a thin black child drowning in a jacket worth thousands. Looking small and lost and impossibly brave. Jaden, I say, keeping my voice low and steady. Tell me about your mother. Azadid, his face softens at the mention of her. But pain flickers across it too. She's the strongest person I know, he says timidly. She works all the time so we can eat. She sings to Malik when he has nightmares. She tells Camilla stories about Daddy even though he left us. She cries in the shower so we don't hear. His voice cracks on the last sentence. She thinks I don't know. But the walls are real thin. Inder, each word is a knife. I picture Aliyah, 32 years old, raising 3 children alone, working herself to exhaustion while the world chips away at her dignity. Sleepless nights worrying about rent. Hunger she hides by giving her portion to the children. The humiliation of food bank lines and overdue notices taped to the door. The despair of knowing one wrong accusation could take everything. And now, her eldest son, her protector, in his own small way, stands accused of theft. Because the manager needed a scapegoat. Because checking a camera would take effort. Because it is easier to crush the powerless. Rage joins the storm inside me. Hot and protective. But I keep it leashed. Jaden does not need my anger right now. He needs the safety I am finally able to give. The light turns green. Minsu drives on, heading south toward Florence Avenue. Jaden watches the city slide by Koreatown's bright signs giving way to darker streets. Billboards, in English and Spanish. Liquor stores with barred windows. His hand creeps across the seat until his fingers brush mine. Not grabbing, just touching, testing if I am real. I turn my hand palm up and let his cold fingers rest in mine. He does not pull away. We ride in silence for a while. The rain thickens, drumming softly on the roof. Jaden's eyelids begin to droop. Exhaustion, finally winning. But every time the car stops at a light, he jerks awake. Fear flashing across his face. Fear that this was all a dream. That he will open his eyes back on the cold street. You can sleep if you want. I tell him gently. I will not leave you. Tuthria Ardgetsavishal. He looks at me, searching my face for truth. Finding it. He nods slowly. His head tips sideways until it rests hesitant at first. Then with growing trust against my arm, within minutes his breathing evens out. A small body, finally relaxing in warmth and safety for the first time in who knows how long. I sit motionless, afraid to disturb him. The weight of his head against my sleeve is lighter than air and heavier than anything I have ever carried. The inner turmoil reaches a new peak. Violent emotional tension coils in my chest until I can barely breathe. Part of me, the ruthless empire builder, screams that this is weakness, that attachment will be exploited, that I am inviting danger into a life I have kept carefully armored. But that voice is drowned beneath the tidal wave of love and remorse. This child has cracked me open with nothing more than trust. And in doing so, he has given me something I thought lost forever, purpose beyond power. I finger the jade norage in my pocket. The silk cord, worn smooth from years of secret touching, My mother gave it to me for protection. Tonight, for the first time, I feel it might actually be working, not protecting me, but guiding me towards someone who needs it more. The Maybach pulls up outside Mama's Crispy Soul. The restaurant is still lit. Neon open sign flickering. Through the rain-streaked windows, I see figures inside. Aaliyah, slender and exhausted, standing with arms wrapped around herself, while the manager gestures angrily. 2 remaining customers watch uncomfortably. No police yet. But the threat hangs heavy. Jaden stirs as the car stops, eyes fluttering open in confusion and renewed fear. He sits up quickly, my jacket slipping off one shoulder. "We are here," I say softly. He looks out at the familiar storefront, then back at me. Dread returns to his face, mingled with cautious hope. You're really gonna help?" he whispers, voice trembling. I meet his eyes. "I promised I would listen. Now I promise something more. No one will hurt your family tonight. Not the manager. Not anyone." And Spugger, the words come out with steel beneath the gentleness. In them, Jaden hears truth. His eyes fill again, but he nods. Minsu opens the door. Rain sweeps in, cold and sharp. I step out first, then turn to offer Jaden my hand. He takes it without hesitation, now small. Cold fingers trusting completely in mine. Together we walk through the rain toward the restaurant. My tailored shirt darkens with water, but I do not feel it. All I feel is the fierce, burning determination to protect this boy and the mother who has fought so hard to keep him safe. The bell above the door jingles as we enter. Every head turns. Aaliyah's eyes tired, red-rimmed, filled with a mother's desperate fear, find Jaden first. Relief floods her face, followed instantly by terror that he has brought trouble with him. Then her gaze shifts to me, and confusion joins the storm of emotions. The manager, mid-sentence, face flushed with self-righteous anger, falls silent. In the sudden quiet, water drips from my hair onto the linoleum floor. I keep Jaden's hand firmly in mine and meet Aaliyah's eyes across the room. Something electric passes between us in that single look, recognition of shared pain, perhaps, or the first spark of something deeper. But there is no time to examine it now. Tonight, justice begins, and for the first time in 20 years, my heart fractured, burning, alive again leads the way. The bell above the door of Mama's Crispy Soul gives its tired jingle as Jaden and I step inside. Out of the rain, the warm air hits us first, thick with the smell of fried chicken, old grease, and lemon cleaner fighting a losing battle. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead, casting harsh shadows on scuffed linoleum and faded booths. The place is nearly empty. 2 late customers nursing coffee at the counter, avoiding eye contact. In the center of the small dining area stands Aaliyah Washington. She is 32. But exhaustion has added years to her face. Her dark skin is drawn tight over high cheekbones. Her eyes are red-rimmed from crying and sleepless nights. Her uniform faded red polo with the restaurant logo. Black pants, shiny from too many washes, hangs loose on a frame that has given whatever extra it had to her children. Her hair is pulled back in a tired ponytail, curls escaping in defiance. She holds herself with arms wrapped around her middle, as if physically trying to hold her world together while the manager towers over her. Voice raised. Mr. Harlan is mid-rant, face flushed, gesturing wildly. I've had it with the shortages. Aaliyah, every week, something's missing. And your boy sitting here all night? I'm calling the cops right now. Theft is theft. It's Absam. Aaliyah's voice is soft, breaking. Please. Mr. Harlan. Jaden wouldn't. He's a good boy. Check the camera. Please. I'll work the money off. I'll take extra shifts. No pay. No pay. You think I run a charity? He scoffs. You people always got an excuse. End quote. The words hang in the air like poison. I feel Jaden's hand tighten in mine, his small body going rigid with remembered humiliation. A wave of dread rolls off him, followed by fear that everything is about to collapse again. He presses closer to my leg. Aaliyah's eyes find Jaden first. Relief floods her face, shoulders sagging, breath leaving her in a rush. Then her gaze shifts to me, and every emotion freezes. Confusion, unease, heightened fear. Who is this well-dressed Korean man holding her son's hand? Why is Jaden wearing a suit jacket that costs more than her monthly rent? The manager notices us too. His mouth snaps shut mid-sentence. Recognition flickers. He knows who I am. Or at least knows enough to understand that the air in the room has just changed. Silence stretches, broken only by the hum of the refrigerator case and the patter of rain on the roof. I guide Jaden forward gently until we stand a few feet from his mother, up close. The signs of her poverty are heartbreaking. Dark circles under her eyes from nights spent worrying instead of sleeping. Chapped hands from cleaning tables and washing dishes in harsh soap. The faint smell of fryer oil that never quite washes out of clothes or skin. Shoulders curved inward from carrying too much for too long. Aaliyah drops to her knees in front of Jaden, arms opening. He releases my hand and runs into them. She pulls him close, burying her face in his hair. Rocking slightly, I hear her whisper, voice thick with tears. Thank God. Thank God you're safe. His spirits. Jaden clings to her, face pressed to her shoulder. I'm sorry. Mama, I went to find help. This man. He listened. Didn't stand. Aaliyah lifts her head slowly and looks at me over Jaden's shoulder. Her eyes are wary. Cautious years of dealing with systems and people who promise help and deliver none. But beneath the wariness, I see raw gratitude and something else, desperate, fragile hope. Thank you for bringing him back, she says softly, voice restrained and respectful. I don't know how to repay you. Well, other people Zaidas. I incline my head slightly. There is no debt. Aziz. Mr. Harlan clears his throat, trying to reclaim control. Look, I don't know who you think you are, but this is a private matter. The boy stole. He did not. I say quietly. The words are soft, but the room temperature seems to drop. Harlan's mouth opens, then closes. The two customers suddenly find their coffee fascinating. I step forward, placing myself between the family and the manager. My presence fills the small space tailored shirt, damp from rain. Posture calm but unyielding. Power is not always loud. Show me the security footage. I say, it is not a request. Harlan hesitates, bluster deflating. He knows my name, or at least my reputation. Everyone in this part of the city does, even if they pretend otherwise. After a long moment, he mutters something and shuffles behind the counter to the ancient DVR system. Aaliyah stands slowly, keeping Jaden close to her side. She watches me with shifting emotions, fear giving way to confusion, then cautious curiosity. Her hand trembles as she smooths Jaden's hair. I see the dizziness hit her suddenly, probably has not eaten since morning. Adrenaline and fear burning whatever little fuel she had. She sways slightly, and Jaden steadies her with small hands. You okay? Mama? She forces a smile that does not reach her eyes. I'm fine. Baby. Aiden asked, but she is not fine. None of them are. The grainy footage plays on the small monitor. It is clear within seconds. The new dishwasher, a young man with nervous eyes, lingers near the register when Harlan steps out back for a smoke. His hand darts in, pulls out bills, stuffs them in his pocket. Jaden is visible in the corner booth the entire time. Head bent over homework. Harlan stares at the screen, face paling. I turn to him. You accused a child without checking evidence. You threatened his mother's livelihood. You used racist language in front of witnesses. I was cross. His mouth works soundlessly. Aaliyah's breath catches. Shock floods her features. Then a wave of emotional numbness as the reality sinks in. Her son is innocent. But the damage is already done. Tears spill silently down her cheeks. I continue, voice still quiet. You will apologize. You will reinstate Aaliyah with back pay for any shifts affected by this. You will give her a raise, and you will never speak to her or her children with disrespect again. Has keep to sidle by. Harlan nods quickly, sweat beading on his forehead. Yes, sir. Of course, I'm sorry. Aaliyah. Really? The apology is hollow. But it is enough for now. Aaliyah stares at me, disoriented. Why? Why are you doing this? She whispers. You don't know us. Ever. The question hangs between us. I look at Jaden, then back at her. The love that ignited in the car burns hotter now, extending to this exhausted mother who has fought alone for so long. But the words are hard to find. How do I explain 20 years of guilt? A fractured heart suddenly piecing itself back together around her child? Because someone must not. I say, finally, it is not the full truth. But it is enough. Outside, the rain has eased to a mist. Minsu waits with the Maybach. I turn to Aaliyah. Your children are with a neighbor? She nods. Cautious again. Mrs. Rodriguez. She watches them when I work late. But one, then we will collect them. You will not take the bus tonight. 87th, Edamast. Her eyes widen in shock. Sir, I can't. You can, I say gently. And you will. We have go. She searches my face, finding no deception. Slowly, she nods. As we leave the restaurant, Harlan holding the door with newfound humility, I feel the weight of what has begun. The injustice revealed tonight is only the surface. I sense deeper currents. The shortages Harlan blamed on Aaliyah likely stem from pressures higher up extortion. Perhaps from local gangs skimming businesses too poor to fight back. But that is for later. For now, there is a mother and 3 children who will sleep warm tonight. And there is a man whose frozen heart has fractured wide open, flooded with a love so fierce it feels like both salvation and danger. As Aaliyah and Jaden climb into the Maybach, her hesitation giving way to stunned acceptance, I know one thing with absolute certainty: whatever threats come next, whatever old enemies stir at my sudden involvement in street-level matters, I will stand between this family and every cruelty the world still has in store. Because for the first time in 20 years, I have something worth protecting more than my empire. I have them. The Maybach pulls away from Mama's crispy soul, tires hissing on wet asphalt. Inside, the atmosphere is thick with unspoken emotion. Aaliyah sits in the back with Jaden pressed against her side, his head on her shoulder, eyes half closed from exhaustion. She strokes his hair absently, her own gaze fixed out the window as rain streaks the glass. Every few seconds she glances at me, quick, cautious looks filled with confusion, fear, and a fragile curiosity she cannot quite hide. I sit opposite them, the wide leather seat feeling suddenly too large. Minsu drives in silence, knowing better than to speak unless addressed. The partition is up, giving us privacy. Aaliyah's voice finally breaks the quiet, soft and restrained. Sir, Mr. Kim, I don't understand why you're doing this. You fixed everything back there. You didn't have to bring us home. End quote. Her words carry the weight of years spent learning not to trust kindness from strangers, especially strangers with power. I meet her eyes. They are beautiful even through exhaustion, deep brown, framed by lashes wet with unshed tears. In them, I see the same fierce love for her children that I once felt for my own family, before the world took them. Because it was not fixed, I say quietly. Not truly. Harlan's shortages did not begin tonight. Someone is pressuring the owner. Protection money. Likely. Small businesses like that one are bled slowly until they break or blame innocent employees to cover the losses. I would distract. Her breath catches, shock flickers across her face, followed by a wave of dread. She is suspected. Perhaps. But hearing it confirmed is different. How do you know? She whispers. I do not answer directly. Instead, I pull out my phone and send a brief message to one of my lieutenants. Within seconds, a reply comes. Confirmation that the Crimson Vipers, a local street gang, have been demanding $500 a month from the restaurant owner for the past year. The owner, unable to pay fully, has been shorting staff hours and inventing shortages to balance the books. I turn the screen toward her so she can read the message herself. Her hand flies to her mouth. Tears spill over. All this time, I thought it was slow business. I took the blame, worked extra shifts for nothing. Her voice breaks. They were going to fire me over money they stole themselves. Ismentary. Jaden stirs, lifting his head. Mama? She pulls him closer, kissing his forehead. It's okay. Baby. We're okay now. Well, wasn't for Butespitz, but she is not okay. I see the dizziness hit her again, blood sugar low. Adrenaline crashing. She sways slightly, face paling. I lean forward. When did you last eat? She hesitates. Embarrassed. This morning. Toast. The kids needed the eggs. It's not wise. The confession lands like a blow. 20 years of dining on meals prepared by Michelin-starred chefs. And this woman, this strong, beautiful woman, has been giving her food to her children while going hungry herself. I press the intercom. Minsu, stop at the 24-hour Korean market on Olympic. The one I own. I was effort. He acknowledges without question. Aaliyah's eyes widen. Sir, you don't have to. I do. I say, and the words come out fiercer than intended. She falls silent, watching me with that mixture of fear and curiosity. The market is brightly lit. A clean oasis in the rainy night. I tell Minsu to wait with the car and lead Aaliyah and Jaden inside myself. The manager on duty, a young Korean man, recognizes me instantly and bows deeply. I wave off his greetings and guide the family through the aisles. Jaden's eyes grow huge at the sight of fresh produce. Neatly stacked banchan containers. Warm food in the hot deli case. He has never seen so much abundance in one place. I fill a basket quickly. Fresh rice. Eggs. Milk. Fruit. Vegetables. Chicken. Kimchi. Instant ramen for quick meals. Snacks for the children. Basics. But quality things that will last and nourish. Aaliyah tries to protest, but her voice is weak, overwhelmed. At the counter, I add gift cards for future shopping and pay without looking at the total. Back in the car, bags safely stowed. We continue toward their apartment. Aaliyah clutches one bag to her chest, as if afraid it will disappear. The building is a tired 4-story walk-up in a neighborhood where streetlights flicker and sirens are background noise. Graffiti tags the entryway. The stairwell smells of old cooking and damp concrete. We climb 3 flights, Aaliyah carrying Jaden, when his legs give out halfway. At the door, she knocks softly. Mrs. Rodriguez? It's Aaliyah. In how? The door opens a crack. Chain still on. An older Latina woman peers out. Relief flooding her face when she sees Aaliyah and Jaden safe. She unchains the door and steps aside. Inside, the apartment is small and worn, but clean. 1 bedroom, a tiny kitchen, a living room with a sagging couch, and the mattress on the floor where the children sleep. Kamia and Malik, 5 and 3, are curled together under a thin blanket. Asleep despite the late hour, Aaliyah's breath catches at the sight of them. She kneels by the mattress, brushing hair from their faces, whispering thanks that they are safe. Mrs. Rodriguez eyes me cautiously but says nothing as I set the grocery bags on the small kitchen counter. Aaliyah stands, wiping her eyes. Mr. Misness, Kim, I don't know how to thank you for everything tonight. End quote. However, C was not for. There is no need, I say, but there is need. Deep, aching need inside me. The love that began with Jaden now extends fully to this family, to Kamia's small sleeping form, to Malik's trusting curl against his sister, to Aaliyah's quiet strength. It is overwhelming. This fierce attachment, my heart fractured open aches with the desire to shield them from every future hardship. I pull a card from my wallet, plain white. Only a phone number printed on it. I hand it to Aaliyah. If anything happens, if Harlan causes trouble, if the rent notice comes, if you need anything at all, call this number. Day or night is... She takes the card with trembling fingers, staring at it as if it is made of gold. Jaden, fighting sleep, tugs my sleeve. You'll come back? He whispers. Voice timid but hopeful. The question pierces me. I kneel again, meeting his eyes. I will. I promise. And I mean it with every fractured piece of my soul. As we leave, Aaliyah follows us to the door. In the dim hallway light, our eyes meet once more. Something unspoken passes between us. Gratitude. Wonder. The first faint spark of trust. Minsu drives me home through empty streets. The rain has stopped. The city glistens under streetlights. In the silence, the inner turmoil reaches a new crescendo. Guilt for my lost family collides with this fierce new love, creating violent emotional tension that leaves me gripping the armrest until my knuckles whiten. I have intervened tonight on a scale I never have for strangers. I have exposed softness my enemies could exploit. Yet I feel no regret, only a burning determination to protect what I have found. My phone buzzes. A message from another lieutenant. The Crimson Vipers are unhappy about tonight's events. Word travels fast. They want a meeting. I stare at the screen. Jaw tight. Let them come. For the first time in 20 years, I have something worth fighting for beyond territory and respect. I have a family to protect, even if they do not yet know it. And I will burn every bridge, face every rival, dismantle every threat before I let the world hurt them again. The Maybach turns toward Beverly Hills, carrying a man whose heart, once frozen, now burns with purpose. The morning after the rain, I return to Mama's crispy soul. It is barely 9 o'clock, but I have not slept. My Beverly Hills mansion felt colder than ever last night. 12 empty bedrooms echoing with memories of a family I failed and visions of a new one I have only just met. I paced the marble floors until dawn, the jade Norige clenched in my fist. Guilt and love warring inside me with a violence that left me shaking. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Aaliyah's exhausted face, Jaden's trusting hand in mine. Kamia and Malik curled together on that thin mattress. The contrast between their world and mine is unbearable. My heated infinity pool overlooking the city versus their drafty apartment where cold winds slip through cracked windows. My private chef preparing breakfast I could not eat versus their refrigerator holding only the groceries I bought last night. I cannot stay away. Minsu drives the Maybach through morning traffic. I wear a simple black cashmere coat over a tailored shirt, no tie today. I want to appear approachable, though I know my presence alone carries weight. The restaurant is quiet when we arrive. Harlan is behind the counter, wiping it down with nervous energy. 2 early customers sit in booths. The smell of fresh coffee and frying bacon fills the air. Harlan looks up as the bell jingles. His face pales when he sees me. He knows why I am here. Mr. Kim, he says, voice cracking slightly. Good morning. I gave Aaliyah the day off. Like you said, paid. Access. I nod once. Good, but we are not finished. Isnader. I take a seat at the counter. Harlan pours coffee with trembling hands. I do not drink it. Tell me about the Crimson Vipers, I say quietly. His eyes dart to the door, then back to me. Sweat beads on his forehead despite the cool morning. They come every month. $500. Owner pays most of it. But lately business is slow. He told me to cut corners, short hours. Blame shortages on staff. I shouldn't have accused the boy. I was scared. As a mender, fear. The same fear that has crushed Aliyah for years. The same fear that drives small business owners to desperate choices. My phone buzzes. A message from my lieutenant. 2 Vipers enforcers are already on their way here. Angry about last night's interference. Word spreads fast in the streets. I stand, lock the door, turn the sign to closed. However, I thank you for the stiffens. Harlan obeys without question. Minutes later, a lowrider pulls up outside. 2 young men step out mid-20s. Baggy clothes. Viper colors visible. One has a scar across his eyebrow, the other a spider tattoo on his hand. They try the door, find it locked, and bang on the glass. Harlan shrinks behind the counter. I walk to the door and unlock it myself. The scarred one pushes in first. Chest puffed. Who the hell do you think you are? Old man, this is Viper territory. You don't mess with our collections. If you said, the tattooed one follows, eyeing me with false bravado. Heard you scared Harlan last night. Made him cry like a little girl. That's gonna cost you. And I close the door behind them. Lock it again. The customers have wisely left through the back. My voice is calm. This restaurant is under my protection now. Your demands end today. As Scar laughs. Your protection? You Korean Mafia or something? This is South Central. Grandpa, you're out of your zip code. It note well. They step closer, trying to intimidate with size and youth. I do not move. The inner turmoil surges rage at their casual cruelty. Remorse that families like Aliyah's have suffered this for years, while I stayed detached in my empire. But the strongest force is love. Fierce, burning love for Jaden, for Aliyah, for the children I have claimed as my own to protect. I meet Scar's eyes. Leave now. Do not come back. End quote. Tattoo reaches into his jacket, perhaps for a weapon, perhaps to threaten. I move faster than they expect. My hand closes around his wrist, twisting just enough to make him gasp. Scar lunges. Minsu, silent until now, steps from the shadows and pins his arms. No blows are thrown. No blood spilled. Only control. I lean close to Scar. You will tell your leader that Ji-hoon Kim has taken this block under protection. Any Viper who comes within 5 blocks of this restaurant, or Aliyah Washington's home, will answer to me personally. We can 7 to her. Scar's bravado crumbles. He knows my name now. Knows what it means. They leave quickly, muttering threats they do not mean. Harlan is shaking behind the counter. They'll come back harder, he whispers. They will not. I say. I make calls from the booth. Within an hour, the word is sent through channels. The Crimson Vipers are to stand down in this neighborhood. Some will listen out of fear. Others will test me. But I am ready. Mid-morning. Aliyah arrives for her shift. Harlan called her in despite the paid day off, claiming he needed help. She looks surprised to see me still here, then wary. Mr. Kim, she says softly, cautious. You're still here? I stand. I wanted to make sure you were safe. It's clear you know. Her eyes flicker with confusion. Then something softer. The Vipers came? They did. They will not again. There's a claims to be. She stares at me. Emotions shifting rapidly. Fear, shock, disorientation at the speed of change. Then dizziness hits. She has not eaten properly again. She grips the counter to steady herself. I guide her gently to a booth. Sit. It's not now. Harlan brings water and food without being asked, a full breakfast plate. Aliyah eats slowly at first, then hungrily, embarrassed but too starved to refuse. Jaden's words from last night echo in my mind. She gives us her food. Oh, the sight of her eating simple eggs and toast that cost pennies while I sat in my mansion with untouched gourmet meals twists the knife deeper. Guilt and love collide in a storm that leaves me silent. When she finishes, she looks at me with new eyes. "Why are you doing all this?" she asks again, voice barely above a whisper. This time, I answer more truthfully. "Because your son reminded me of someone I lost. Because you fight every day with a strength I admire. Because no one should live in the fear you have endured. If we won." Her eyes fill. She reaches across the table, hesitant, timid, and touches my hand briefly. The contact is electric. Warmth spreads through me like sunlight after decades of winter. "Thank you," she whispers. In that moment, the love I feel for Jaden, for her, for the family I am beginning to claim becomes the anchor of my fractured soul. Outside, the sun breaks through clouds. Inside, a small restaurant in South Central becomes the starting point of something larger. I will protect them, whatever the cost. The confrontation with the two Viper enforcers lingers in the air like smoke long after they leave Mama's crispy soul. Harlan keeps glancing at the door, wiping the same spot on the counter over and over. I sit in the booth, phone in hand, sending quiet instructions that ripple through my network like stones dropped in still water. By noon, reports begin coming in. The Crimson Vipers are not acting alone. Their increased demands on small businesses in this neighborhood, doubling protection money in the last 6 months, trace back to a source I never expected. One of my own lieutenants, Dong Wook Park, a man I have trusted for 30 years, has been secretly backing the Vipers. He funnels a percentage of their collections into private accounts, using my name as silent intimidation while keeping the profits for himself. Greed has turned a brother into a traitor. The betrayal hits me like ice water poured down my spine. Dong Wook was there the night I lost Sujin and Minjun. He drove me to the hospital, stood beside me at the funerals, swore loyalty that would never waver. For decades, he has been my shadow, my enforcer, my confidant, and now this. The inner turmoil explodes. Guilt for my lost family collides with fresh rage at this violation of trust. But beneath both burns the fierce love that has taken root. Aliyah, Jaden, Camilla, Malik. If Dong Wook's actions have contributed to their suffering, to the shortages that left Aliyah hungry, to the fear that kept her awake nights, listening for eviction knocks, then the betrayal is personal in a way no territory dispute has ever been. I leave the restaurant with a quiet word to Harlan. Lock up early if he feels unsafe. Minsu drives me to a discreet warehouse I own in the Arts District. A place with thick concrete walls and no windows, perfect for serious conversations. Dongwook arrives an hour later, smiling as always. Unaware that I know. "Boss," he says, bowing slightly. "You wanted to see me?" I gesture to a metal chair in the center of the empty space. He sits, still relaxed. We talk about routine matters first: casino revenue, loan collections. His answers are smooth, practiced. Then I lay photographs on the table between us, bank transfers, Viper meeting notes, his signature on documents, funneling money. His face drains of color. "Jihoon, I can explain. Explain," I say, voice deadly calm. He stammers at first, then the truth spills out. Greed, yes. A gambling debt he could not pay. The Vipers approached him with a deal. Use my influence to expand their territory. Skim a percentage. He thought I would never notice the small neighborhoods, thought the risk was worth the payoff. Small neighborhoods, I repeat, like the one where a single mother works double shifts to feed 3 children. Like the one where an 8-year-old boy runs through dangerous streets at night because his mother is about to lose her job over money your partner stole. Is the quote. Dongwook's eyes widen. He had not connected the dots to last night's events. I stand, walking a slow circle around his chair. The emotional tension inside me is violent remorse for trusting too blindly, rage at the suffering he helped cause, love for the family now threatened by ripples from his betrayal. You were my brother, I say quietly. I gave you everything: power, wealth, respect, and you chose greed over loyalty. With my knight, he begins to beg, offers to return the money, offers names, offers anything. I stop in front of him. There was a time I would have ended this with finality. I tell him, but something has changed. To the rudder. It's to the rudder. Jaden's face flashes in my mind. Aaliyah's exhausted eyes. The children sleeping on a floor mattress. I will not take your life. I say, but you are exiled. You will leave Los Angeles tonight. You will never return. You will never contact anyone from our organization again. If I hear your name spoken in this city, I will reconsider my mercy. And Quartz 2, his relief is palpable, mixed with shame. He knows this is worse than death in our world, total erasure. He leaves with nothing but the clothes on his back and a one-way ticket I arrange. The warehouse feels emptier after he is gone. I stand alone in the vast space. The weight of betrayal pressing down. Guilt surges again, not just for my lost family, but for the years I built an empire on fear while good people like Aaliyah suffered nearby. The love I feel for her family is the only light in this storm, burning brighter with every revelation of darkness. My phone rings. Aaliyah, her voice is hesitant, timid. Mr. Kim, I didn't want to bother you, but the landlord came by. He says if we don't pay the back rent by Friday, he's starting eviction proceedings. I have some saved, but not enough. The timing is no coincidence. Word of my protection has spread, and someone, perhaps a remaining Viper ally, is pressuring her to test my resolve. I close my eyes, the inner conflict raging. Part of me wants to buy the entire building, erase every threat with money and power, but I know that would overwhelm her. Make her feel smaller? I will handle it. I say, gently. You've already done so much. She whispers, I don't know why you're helping us like this. We have a clue-atus. The question hangs, full of cautious wonder. I answer with more truth than before. Because your son's courage reminded me what it means to fight for family. Because you deserve better than the life you have been given. Because I care. Was no way. Silence stretches. Then her voice, softer still. Thank you, Hevita 7 is. I drive to her apartment building myself. The landlord, a greasy man in a cheap suit, is posting a formal notice on her door when I arrive. He turns, sees me, and pales. We speak in the hallway. I offer to buy the building outright. He refuses at first, sensing a chance to profit. I lean in close, voice low. You will accept fair market value. You will tear up every overdue notice in this building. You will reduce rents for tenants who have lived here more than 5 years. Or I will buy the mortgage from your bank tomorrow and foreclose on you personally. Don't, 200. Bean for with Avodas. He signs the papers that afternoon. When I knock on Aaliyah's door later, she opens it cautiously. Jaden peeks from behind her legs. Camilla and Malik watch from the living room mattress. I hand her the new lease rent reduced by half. Back owed erased. Her eyes fill with tears. Shock. Then disbelief. Then overwhelming gratitude. She sways, dizziness hitting again from the emotional whirlwind. I steady her gently with a hand on her arm. It is done, I say. She looks up at me, tears spilling. Why? She asks one more time, voice breaking. This time, I let the truth show in my eyes. Because you and your children have become important to me. More than you know. As quoter as Esipod. In that quiet hallway, with children watching and cold winds rattling the windows. Something shifts irrevocably. The deeper corruption has been uncovered. Traitors banished. Threats neutralized. But the greatest change is inside me. The love I feel fierce, passionate, all-consuming, has become the guiding force of my life, and I will reshape the world around it to keep them safe. The warehouse in the arts district stands silent after Dong-wook leaves, his footsteps echoing into nothingness, like the end of an era. I remain in the vast concrete space long after the door closes behind him. The air is cold, carrying the faint scent of oil and dust. My reflection stares back from a polished metal table, fair-skinned, immaculate suit. Eyes that have seen too much and felt too little for too many years. But tonight, everything feels. The betrayal cuts deeper than any rival's blade ever could. Dong-wook was family not by blood, but by choice. He stood with me through wars that claimed lives, through nights when I questioned whether power was worth the isolation. He knew the story of Soo-jin and Min-jun better than anyone, knew the guilt that has gnawed at me for 20 years. And still, he chose greed. The inner turmoil is a storm now violent, unrelenting. Remorse for trusting him crashes against rage at what his actions cost innocent people. But strongest of all is the fierce, burning love that has taken root in my heart for Aaliyah and her children. Every dollar he skimmed, every demand the Vipers made because of his backing, contributed to nights when Aaliyah gave her food to Jaden, Camilla, and Malik, to mornings when she woke, exhausted, body aching from double shifts, soul aching from fear of eviction, to moments when Jaden learned too young that the world punishes the powerless first. I clench the jade norige in my pocket until the silk cord bites into my palm. The pain is grounding, real. For the first time in decades, I do not want to numb it. My phone vibrates. Minsu, the Viper leader, a man named Razor Rodriguez, has requested a meeting, neutral ground, tonight. I expected this. I drive myself to the meeting place, an abandoned auto shop on the edge of South Central, surrounded by chain-link fence and broken streetlights. The night is clear. Stars, sharp overhead. My Maybach looks out of place among rusted hulks of old cars. Razor arrives with 6 men, all trying to look intimidating. He is younger than I expected, mid-30s. Gold chains, artificial swagger. His crew spreads out, hands near waistbands. I step out alone, no visible backup. They relax slightly, thinking it arrogance. Razor smirks. Mr. Kim, heard you've been playing hero in my territory, scaring my collectors, buying buildings. That's gonna cost. I study him silently. The temperature seems to drop further. He shifts. Look, we can work this out. You stay in Koreatown with your barbecue and casinos. We keep the streets. Everybody eats. I would BO. I take one step closer. Your collectors terrorized a single mother and her children. I say quietly, they caused shortages that left her hungry. They made an 8-year-old boy run through dangerous streets at night because his mother was accused of theft over money they took. Razor's smile falters. Business is business. Sometimes people fall behind. Telf. End quote. I pull out my phone. Show him the evidence of Dong-wook's involvement transfers. Messages. Your expansion was funded by betrayal in my organization. That funding ends tonight. With 21, his men tense. One reaches inside his jacket. Minsu and 3 of my men emerge from the shadows, silent until now. No one draws. The standoff holds. Thick with danger. Razor swallows. What do you want? The extortion ends. In the entire neighborhood around Florence Avenue, every dollar taken in the last year is returned to the businesses and families you bled. You disband operations within 10 blocks of Mama's Crispy Soul and the Washington apartment building. End quote. He laughs. But it is nervous. You're crazy. Old man. You think you can just, I am not asking. I say. The words carry 20 years of accumulated power. His crew shifts uncomfortably. They know my name. Know what it means when I speak this way. Razor tries bravado one last time. And if I say no, I step closer until we are face to face. Then I dismantle your organization piece by piece. Starting tonight? Well, I would not. Silence stretches. Even the night insects seem to still. Finally, he nods. Fine. We'll pull back. It's Tukos. Not enough. Everyone. I hand him a list names of businesses, amounts owed, prepared by my people hours ago. You have 1 week to repay. Personally, if first of the dark, his jaw tightens. But he takes the list. As he turns to leave, I add quietly, if any harm comes to Aaliyah Washington or her children, if so much as a rumor reaches me, I will hold you responsible. Here's Zesk. He meets my eyes, sees the truth there, and nods again. They leave without further words. I stand alone among the rusted cars long after their taillights disappear. The emotional peak crashes over me, violent inner struggle between the ruthless boss who just won a bloodless victory and the man who now fights for something more than territory. Love, family, redemption. The remorse for Minjun and Sujin surges again. But this time, it is tempered by purpose. I failed them because I was not strong enough then. I will not fail this new family. I drive to Aaliyah's apartment building. It is late, but lights are on in her window. I sit in the car across the street, watching shadows move behind thin curtains. Jaden doing homework at the small table, Camilla and Malik playing quietly on the floor, Aaliyah moving between kitchen and living room, checking on them. Always checking. The contrast tears at me. My empty mansion versus this cramped space filled with love despite deprivation. My wealth that bought isolation versus their poverty that forged unbreakable bonds. I send a text to Minsu, arrange quiet security for the building. No visible presence, just protection. Then I drive home. But home feels different now. The marble floors echo not with loneliness, but with anticipation, because tomorrow I will see them again. And every day after, I will fight to deserve the trust they have placed in me. The betrayal has been confronted, the threats neutralized. But the greatest battle, the one inside my heart, has only just begun. And for the first time in 20 years, I am not afraid to feel every blow. 3 nights after the meeting with Razor Rodriguez, the ambush comes. I have spent those days in a strange new rhythm, mornings handling legitimate business at Park's BBQ. Afternoons quietly strengthening protection around Aaliyah's neighborhood. Evenings driving to her apartment building just to watch the lights in her window from across the street. I tell myself it is vigilance. In truth, it is longing. The love that ignited the night Jaden grabbed my sleeve has grown into something fierce and all-consuming. I think of Aaliyah constantly, her tired smile when she thanks me. The way she smooths Jaden's hair. The quiet strength that holds her family together despite every cruel blow the world delivers. I think of the children, Jaden's cautious curiosity turning to trust. Camilla's shy giggles. Malik's small hand reaching for mine the last time I visited. I have not slept well. The inner turmoil is relentless. Guilt for my lost family wars with terror that history will repeat, that my involvement will bring danger to this new one I have claimed in my heart. Remorse claws deeper every time I see the contrast. My armored Maybach versus the cracked sidewalks they walk. My private security versus the unlocked building door they rely on. Yet the love burns brighter, anchoring me, giving every action purpose. Tonight, I leave a late meeting in Koreatown and decide to drive by their apartment one more time. Minsu is off duty. I am alone. A mistake? Perhaps. But the need to see their light is stronger than caution. As I turn onto their street, I see it immediately. 2 cars angled across the road, blocking the way to the building. 4 men in Viper colors stand outside Aaliyah's door on the 3rd floor landing, visible under the flickering exterior light. One bangs on the door. Aaliyah's voice terrified answers from inside. My blood turns to ice, then fire. I pull the Maybach to a hard stop, tires screeching. The men turn, surprised to see a lone luxury car. They do not yet recognize me. I step out, coat open despite the cold wind. Hands visible, step away from the door. It's a crisisly, recognition dawns. One mutters, "It's him, Kim. It's this create." The leader, a thick-set man with a snake tattoo crawling up his neck, smirks. "Boss said you'd show. Message from Razor. Stay out of our business, or the family pays." Inside, I hear Jaden's small voice. "Mama." I'm scared. "Number watch." Aaliyah's reply is fierce despite the tremor. "It's okay. Babies. Stay behind me." End quote. The words shred me. Emotional rupture explodes in my chest, violent, tearing. All the remorse for failing Min Jun and Sujin surges upward, colliding with terror that I am about to fail again. But love fierce. Burning love overrides everything. I take a step forward. The leader pulls a gun, aiming loosely. "Back off, old man." The others spread out, hands in jackets. I do not stop. "Shoot me if you must," I say, the voice calm but carrying across the cold night. "But know this, if any harm comes to that family tonight, every viper in Los Angeles will answer for it. Starting with Razor." "Yes." They hesitate. My reputation precedes me. The leader snarls. "You think you're untouchable?" He fires a warning shot into the air. Inside the apartment, a child screams, "Camilla." I think something in me snaps. I move faster than they expect, closing the distance. My hand closes around the leader's wrist, twisting until the gun clatters to the concrete landing. Pain shoots up his arm. He gasps. Another swings at me. I duck and drive my elbow into his solar plexus, folding him. The third hesitates. I grab his collar and slam him against the wall. Forearm across his throat, not hard enough to crush. Just enough to remind him breathing is a privilege. The fourth runs. It is over in seconds. No shots fired at anyone. No blood spilled. Only control. I release the leader, who drops to his knees, clutching his wrist. "Tell Razor his message was received," I say quietly. "My response comes tomorrow." To help it, they scramble away, leaving the gun on the ground. The door behind me opens slowly. Aaliyah stands in the doorway, backlit, children clustered behind her legs. Her face is pale, eyes wide with shock and fear. Jaden peeks out, brave despite tears. Camilla clings to her mother's leg, sobbing quietly. Malik stares with thumb in mouth. For a moment, no one speaks. Then Aaliyah whispers, voice breaking, "Mr. Kim." I turn to her. The adrenaline crash hits me hard, knees weak, heart pounding. But stronger than fear is the overwhelming relief that they are safe. She steps forward suddenly, cautiously, and touches my arm as if checking I am real. Her hand trembles. You came," she says, a voice soft, timid, reverent. "You protected us again." In 27, the contact is brief, but it sears through me. In her eyes, I see the rapid shift, dread giving way to shock, then to cautious wonder, then to something deeper, gratitude so profound it borders on pain. Jaden runs to me, wrapping small arms around my waist. "You stopped them," he whispers against my coat. Camilla follows more slowly, peeking up at me with tear-streaked cheeks. Malik reaches chubby hands toward me. I kneel, gathering all three children close. Aaliyah watches, tears spilling silently. In that moment on the cold landing, with sirens distant and wind whipping around us, the emotional peak crashes over me. Violent inner struggle tears at my soul. The ruthless boss who just neutralized 4 armed men versus the man desperate to be worthy of this family's trust. Guilt for past failures collides with terror of future ones. But love passionate, all-consuming love wins. Aaliyah kneels beside us, joining the embrace. Her hand finds mine among the children. None of us speak. Words are unnecessary. The danger has passed for tonight, but I know it is not over. Razor will retaliate, and when he does, I will be ready. Because this family, my family now, whether they fully know it or not, is the reason my fractured heart beats again. I will take every bullet meant for them. I will burn every threat to ash. For the first time in 20 years, I am not fighting for power. I am fighting for love. The ambulance arrives within minutes. Sirens cutting through the cold December night like a blade. I stand on the third-floor landing, still holding the leader's discarded gun in my hand, watching as paramedics rush past me up the stairs. Aaliyah's face is pale, eyes wide with shock as she watches them work on me. Blood has soaked through my shirt and coat, spreading in a dark bloom across my left shoulder. The bullet grazed deep, painful, but not immediately life-threatening. Yet the sight of her terror makes it feel worse. Jaden clings to her leg, tears streaming, whispering, "Is he going to be okay?" "Mama?" Camilla and Malik stand frozen behind her, small hands clutching her shirt. Their world, already so fragile, has just been shattered again by violence. I try to speak, but pain flares white-hot. "I am all right. I manage." Voice hoarse. "Just a scratch." His peace. Aaliyah kneels beside me, hands trembling as she presses a clean towel to the wound. "You're bleeding so much," she whispers, voice breaking. "You took that bullet for us. It's not rest." The paramedics arrive. They speak quickly, possible arterial damage, loss of blood, a need for immediate transport. They lift me onto the stretcher. Aaliyah stands, eyes never leaving mine. Her face, a storm of fear, gratitude, and something deeper that makes my chest ache more than the wound. "You'll come to the hospital?" I ask, reaching for her hand despite the pain. She nods without hesitation. "Yes, we're coming." It does God. They wheel me down the narrow stairs, Aaliyah following with the children. Minsu arrives seconds later, face grim, already coordinating additional security for the building. He takes one look at me and knows this is serious. The ambulance ride is a blur of sirens and flashing lights. I drift in and out of consciousness, pain pulsing with every heartbeat. Aaliyah sits beside me, holding my hand, her thumb stroking the back of mine in small, soothing circles. Her touch is the only thing keeping me grounded. At the hospital, Cedars-Sinai, the best trauma center in the city, they rush me into surgery. The last thing I see before they wheel me away is Aaliyah standing in the hallway, children clustered around her, her face streaked with tears. I wake in the recovery room hours later, shoulder bandaged, IV dripping, monitors beeping softly. The room is dim, but I am not alone. Aaliyah sits in the chair beside my bed, head resting on her arms, folded across the blanket. She has fallen asleep, exhausted. Jaden is curled in another chair, wrapped in a hospital blanket. Camilla and Malik are asleep on a small cot the nurses brought in, holding each other even in sleep. The sight hits me harder than the bullet. This woman this exhausted, the beautiful woman who has fought every day just to keep her children fed and warm, has stayed through the night. She has brought her babies here, to a place of sterile white walls and beeping machines. Because I am here. Because I took a bullet for them. Tears, unfamiliar. Unwanted burn behind my eyes. The emotional rupture is complete. 20 years of ice melt in an instant. Guilt for Minjun and Sujin crashes over me. But this time it is not alone. It is joined by overwhelming love for Aaliyah, for her children, for the family I have been given a second chance to protect. I move my good hand slowly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. She stirs, eyes fluttering open. "Mr. Kim," she whispers, voice thick with sleep and tears. "You're awake." "Seven did." "Ji-hoon," I correct gently. "My name is Ji-hoon, with heaven bands." She smiles through tears. "Ji-hoon." I was tapped. The sound of my name on her lips is sweeter than anything I have ever heard. I look at the sleeping children, then back at her. "You stayed." End quote. "Workly dumb you two. Of course we stayed," she says softly. "You saved us." Again, make stamperas. The words hang between us. I feel the confession rising. "Unstoppable, Aaliyah," I say, voice rough from pain and emotion. "I need to tell you something." 1-7. She leans closer, eyes searching mine. "I have lived alone for 20 years. I begin. After I lost my wife and son, I closed my heart. I thought love was weakness. I thought power was safety. But then Jaden came to my restaurant. He grabbed my sleeve and asked for help. And everything changed. Hevidamas 10, her breath catches. I felt it immediately. I continue. A love so fierce it terrified me. For Jaden, for Camilla, for Malik, and for you. I don't another. Her eyes widen. Shock, giving way to something softer. Deeper, I know I have no right. I say, voice trembling. I am older. I come from a different world. My life is dangerous. But I love you. Aaliyah, I love you with everything that is left in this broken heart, and I will spend the rest of my life protecting you and your children if you will let me. Well, silence stretches. Tears spill down her cheeks. She looks at her sleeping children. Then back at me. Ji-hoon, she whispers, voice trembling. I have been so afraid. Afraid to trust. Afraid to hope. But you have shown me what safety feels like. What love looks like. To a face. She leans forward, pressing her forehead gently against mine. I love you too, she says. Voice barely audible. I didn't know how to say it. I was too scared. But I do. I love you. Dina Rester. The words are the sweetest sound I have ever heard. I lift my good hand to cup her cheek. She turns her face into my palm, tears falling onto my skin. We stay like that for a long moment, foreheads touching, breathing each other in. The monitors beep softly. The children sleep peacefully. Outside, the city continues its restless life. But in this small hospital room, a family is being born. The inner storm has not vanished. Guilt still lingers. Fear of the future still whispers. But love fierce, passionate, all-consuming love has become the anchor. And for the first time in 20 years, I am not alone. The weeks following the hospital confession unfold like a dream I never dared to have. I am released after 3 days, shoulder stitched and bandaged. Pain managed with medication I barely notice. The doctors speak of luck the bullet missed major arteries by inches. I know it was not luck. It was purpose. The fierce love that drove me to shield Aaliyah has become the force sustaining me through recovery. Aaliyah insists on caring for me. She brings the children to my Beverly Hills mansion daily, first hesitantly, then with growing ease. The contrast is stark and humbling. Their worn coats and scuffed shoes on my polished marble floors. Jaden's wide-eyed wonder at the infinity pool while remembering nights without heat. Camilla tracing patterns on Persian rugs that cost more than their old apartment's yearly rent. Aaliyah moves through the vast rooms with cautious grace, touching nothing at first, as if afraid to leave fingerprints on a life so far removed from hers. Yet slowly, the mansion begins to feel less like a museum and more like a home. We keep our romance secret at first. The danger is not over. Reza Rodriguez has gone quiet. But quiet in my world often precedes storms. My men report Viper movement scouts near the neighborhood. Whispers of retaliation. I double security discreetly. Unmarked cars on the street. Trusted guards posing as maintenance workers in Aaliyah's building. The tension heightens the passion between us. Our first kiss happens one evening in my kitchen. Aaliyah has insisted on cooking simple soul food: fried chicken, collard greens, cornbread. The scents fill the sterile space with warmth I have never known. The children are asleep in one of the guest rooms. Exhausted from playing in the vast garden, she stands at the stove, stirring greens, hair tied back, apron over her clothes. I watch from the doorway, heart aching with love and lingering fear. She turns, catches my gaze. "What?" she asks softly, a shy smile breaking through caution. I cross the room in 3 strides, cup her face gently with my good hand. "You do," I whisper. "You are the most beautiful thing I have ever seen." Anyone. Her eyes fill. Shock. Then wonder. Then surrender. I kiss her slowly at first, reverently. She tastes of salt and greens and hope. Her hands rise to my chest. Hesitant. Then clutch my shirt as the kiss deepens. Years of loneliness pour out of me. Years of fear pour out of her. We cling like survivors of separate shipwrecks, finally finding shore in each other. When we part, foreheads touching, she whispers, "I've never felt like this." I know Tapas. Nor have I. I answer truthfully. The passion grows with every stolen moment. Late nights after the children sleep. We talk for hours on the terrace, overlooking the city lights, or curled on the vast leather sofa. She tells me of her childhood in South Central, of dreams deferred by early motherhood, of the father who left and the strength she found alone. I tell her of Korea before America, of building an empire to fill the void left by loss, of the guilt that has haunted me. She listens without judgment, touches the scar on my shoulder, the new one from the bullet, and kisses it gently. "You carried pain alone for so long," she says. "Let me help carry it now." Esno. The intimacy is electric. We explore each other slowly. Reverently, her hands tracing the lines of my body with wonder at the contrast. My fair skin against her rich brown. My wealth-scarred hands, gentle on her tired frame. Every touch heals old wounds. Every whisper of love mends fractured pieces. Yet danger shadows the passion. One night, driving her home after dinner at the mansion, we are followed. 2 cars tail us from Beverly Hills to South Central. I take evasive routes, finally losing them near the freeway. Aaliyah's hand grips mine tightly. Fear in her eyes, but trust stronger. "They won't stop," she whispers. "They will. I promise. I will make them." Is every doe. The next confrontation comes swiftly. Razor requests another meeting, this time on my terms, at a neutral warehouse. I arrive with Minsu and 4 men. Razor brings twice as many. Tension thick. He tries bravado again. "You think taking a bullet makes you a hero? This is still my city in the streets. I am Bill." I step forward. "Your streets end where that family begins." We negotiate not with words alone, but with power. I offer him a clean exit. Disband the Viper extortion rackets entirely. Receive a one-time payment to relocate operations elsewhere. Refuse. And face total dismantling. He hesitates. Eyes calculating. Sees my men positioned strategically. Sees the resolve in my face, the resolve born of love. Not just power. He agrees. But as he turns to leave, one of his men, a hothead with fresh tattoos, mutters, "Can't let some Korean think he runs South Central." Happen going, he lunges suddenly. Knife flashing. Minsu intercepts, disarming him cleanly. The room erupts in controlled chaos, my men moving with precision. Disarming without lethal force. I take a punch to the ribs, pain flaring from the healing shoulder, but return only restraint. Razor shouts his men down. "Enough! Stand down!" The hothead is dragged out. Cursing, Razor meets my eyes. "It's done," he says quietly. We're out. Yes, I nod. As they leave, the warehouse falls silent. Minsu looks at me. Boss, you're bleeding again. Kind of place of the gram. The stitches have torn slightly. Pain pulses. But I feel only triumph. That night, back at the mansion, Aaliyah tends the wound herself. Her hands are gentle, eyes fierce with worry and love. You keep getting hurt for us, she whispers. I would take 1,000 bullets. I answer, pulling her close. For you, for our family, every Toby and Extinder, the kiss that follows is fire passionate, desperate, healing. We make love for the first time that night. Slowly, reverently, then with growing intensity, her body against mine curves born of strength and survival against my lean frame forged by discipline. Skin tones blending in the moonlight, fair against rich brown. A beautiful contrast that speaks of worlds bridged by love. Afterward, we lie tangled in sheets that cost more than her old monthly rent. Her head on my chest. I never thought I'd have this, she whispers. Safety, love, someone who sees me. I kiss her forehead. You deserve everything, and I will give it to you. And quoted next, the passion blossoms amid lingering danger. But it is the danger that makes every moment precious. Every touch electric, every glance full of promise. The children sense the change. Jaden calls me Jihoon now, sometimes slipping into Appa when he thinks I do not hear. Camilla draws pictures of us all together. Malik falls asleep in my arms without fear. The contrast remains heartbreaking. Aaliyah still flinches at sudden noises, remembering cold nights and empty cupboards. But slowly, trust replaces fear. And in the quiet moments cooking together, her teaching me gospel songs while I teach the children Korean words, the love deepens into something unbreakable. Danger may still lurk in shadows, but in each other's arms, we have found light, passionate, fierce, enduring. 1 year later, on a warm October evening in 2025, I stand in the garden of my Beverly Hills mansion, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. The air carries the scent of jasmine from the new beds Aaliyah planted last spring. Laughter rings out from the patio, Jaden chasing Camilla and Malik around the pool. Their voices bright and carefree. I still cannot believe this is my life. The neighborhood around Florence Avenue thrives now. Mama's crispy soul has been renovated, new windows, fresh paint, expanded seating. Harlan runs it honestly. The extortion gone forever after Razor's final capitulation. Businesses nearby flourish without fear. I funded community improvements quietly, better lighting, a small playground, after-school programs, not charity, justice, repayment for years when good people suffered while I stayed detached. My empire has changed too. I stepped back from the most dangerous operations, focusing on legitimate ventures, restaurants, real estate, investments. Power remains, but it serves protection now, not just profit. The greatest change is here. In this home that once echoed with loneliness, Aaliyah walks toward me across the lawn, wearing a simple sundress that flows in the breeze. She is no longer the exhausted woman I first met, cheeks fuller, eyes bright. The shadows of hunger and fear faded, yet the strength remains, deeper now. Tempered by safety and love, she slips her hand into mine. Dinner's almost ready, she says softly. Smiling up at me, I pull her close, kissing her forehead. Smells amazing, as it recrease. She has been teaching me to cook soul food and Korean fusion dishes we create together. Tonight it is fried chicken with gochujang glaze, collards with sesame oil, cornbread and kimchi as sides. The children love it. We gather at the long outdoor table as stars begin to appear. Jaden, now 9, sits taller, confident. He calls me Appa openly now. Camilla, 6, draws pictures of our family every week. Malik, 4, climbs into my lap without hesitation. We eat, talk, laugh, simple moments that heal old wounds. Later, after the children are asleep, Aaliyah and I sit on the terrace. She rests her head on my good shoulder, the one not scarred by the bullet I took for her. I never thought I'd have this, she whispers. A home, safety, you, 2000, the next we're alive. I stroke her hair. Nor I. You saved me. Aaliyah, Jaden's courage cracked my heart open. But your love put it back together. God, we marry in a quiet ceremony the following spring, blending traditions beautifully. A Korean paybake where she bows with me to honor elders no longer here. An African-American jumping of the broom, symbolizing our leap into new life together. Friends from both worlds attend my legitimate business associates, her family and neighbors. The children carry rings. Beaming, I adopt them legally. Jaden, Camilla, Malik Kim Washington. College funds are secured. Future's bright. The inner turmoil has not vanished entirely. Guilt for Minjun and Sujin still visits in quiet moments. But it is softer now, transformed by purpose. I visit their graves often, telling them about the family I found. I believe they understand. This story, our story, teaches profound truths. Knowledge of another's pain can awaken compassion. Knowledge of one's own brokenness can lead to healing. Knowledge that love requires courage changes everything. Knowledge shared through stories spreads hope. Knowledge earned through hardship builds unbreakable strength. Life lesson. A child's trust can redeem the hardest heart. Life lesson. True power protects the vulnerable. Life lesson. Love transcends every barrier. Life lesson. Second chances arrive when we least expect them. Life lesson. Forgiveness of self and others frees the soul. Education comes not only from schools, but from lived experience. Education and empathy bridges divides. Education and resilience carries us through darkness. Education in love teaches us who we truly are. Education passed to children shapes the future. Love transcends skin color and social class. Wealth and poverty cannot prevent love, compassion, or humanity. A fair-skinned Korean man and an African-American woman, worlds apart in background, found in each other the deepest connection. A mafia boss and a single mother, divided by circumstance, built a family on trust and fierce devotion. This is the greatest truth I have learned. Humanity shines brightest when we choose love over fear, protection over power, family over isolation. To all of you watching, I wish good health, a joyful life, and daily peace. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Crimson Romance stories. If this story touched you, please subscribe, like, and share our channel so we can bring more engaging videos every day. How did this story make you feel? Does it connect to moments in your own life? Share your thoughts and emotions in the comments. We read every one. Goodbye for now, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.